How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. The channel is Vanlife Plus, where we are currently playing the waiting game with more than one thing. I am waiting to hear back about surgery because I have degenerative disc disease and I've got a bulging, herniated, whatever you want to call it, disc pressing against my nerve and causing me a lot of discomfort. And I'm waiting to get a fuel pump sent in the mail to have installed in my tiny home on wheels. In case you don't know, I'm living the van life. That's why the channel's called Vanlife Plus. And yeah, I've been dealing with some non-starting issues. Although this morning, that didn't happen at all. That's usually the case first thing in the morning. Now there's been some talk about when the engine's hot, when it's hot outside. Someone also mentioned might have a leak in my fuel return line. Not sure what that is. Yeah, I'm assuming it has to do with fuel returning. I deduced that. Anyway, that's pretty much the state of affairs these days. I've been keeping my gas tank fairly low. If you saw my last video, I put 20 bucks in just so I could sort of get around town, get some things done, because I've been staying sort of in the same area more than usual. But today is looking like it's going to be a very lovely day. Hang on, just turn on my DC to DC charger, start charging up the house batteries. It looks like it's going to be a really nice day, so I'm going to do what I do the best. Head on down to the provincial park here inside the city I van life around in and just sort of relax and enjoy my waiting game. That's the plan for today. Then I might do some cooking. Let's get it. Before we get down to the park here whilst we're driving, there was some things I wanted to talk about here that I wanted to address. I wasn't going to, but I think it's kind of important. The channel's getting bigger, and I think it's important for me to say thank you and, you know, verbally say my appreciation for everybody here that is supporting what I'm doing just by watching the videos, clicking on me face and my little thumbnails, and watching my shenanigans really does mean the world to me. So thank you very much. That being said, because the channel's getting bigger, we're also starting to see a lot more negative idiots in the comment section. I think that's just par for the course when stuff like this gets bigger. Obviously, when the exposure is bigger, everybody just calm down. You're going to see more crap. That's just the way it is when you're exposed to a larger group of human beings. By and large, the community here is absolutely astounding, and y'all know who you are. You're incredible, but it's going to be what happens, and I do my best to just let it roll off my shoulders. Sometimes I want to engage with these people because I find them to be completely dim-witted and hysterical. But I also had one person, I shared this with my Patreon community because this unfortunate human being was actually part of that community up until this point, reach out to me and tell me, this was a while ago at this point, and he basically said, all right, enough's enough, time to man up, yeah, your cat died, get over it, and suck up the pain. Yes, I know, lovely fellow. His mother did a great job raising him. But all that is to say, it got me thinking. In that message, he said, just go back to doing your skits and being funny. And there was that I was like, wait a second, I've never done skits. And yeah, I do have a little bit more comedy in my videos than most van life channels, for sure. But it's always been my life. And I've always said, I've been very consistent in this, that my van life channel here will always be my life. And I will be as real as I can be with everybody on here, because I think it's far more valuable to be real and show the ups and the downs and the good and the bad of who I am as a human being than it is to be some sort of fake representation of me, if that makes sense. So, and I think it's important for other people that might be wanting to do the same thing. This stuff's going to happen. You have to have a tough skin, and idiots like that are going to say stupid things to you, and you have to be able to take it and let it roll off your shoulders. And just know that you have to prioritize what's important to you. And it's important to me to be real. It's not important to me to be a dancing monkey for that asshole's entertainment. And if you're thinking about doing stuff like this, just stick to what you know, be true to yourself. That's why I say at the end of almost every video, be yourself. I think that's a key thing. So anyways, just wanted to put that out there just so everybody knows it's not always, you know, what's bubble gum and roses. I mean, I like bubble gum. I'm not the biggest fan of roses, but I mean, it's like positive things. It's not always that, right? Sometimes there is some garbage you got to deal with, but just take it out and move on. All right, let's get down to the park. Love these things. I am so excited to be able to use them in winter. They just feel nice and durable, thick and reflective. And really, what more could you want in a window blocker? Hey, kitty cat. I'll leave this one unblocked for you whilst I get everything else set up. You get to go in your catio today, okay? Good girl. All right, it's already gotten too hot out here for this flannel, although it is a little breezy. That's the problem. I can't find the appropriate layers. I'm okay with it. All right, let's get our little camp set up, shall we? There we go. I always like setting this up. The mat's a little uneven. It doesn't take as nearly as long as I thought it ever would. The outside of my van life, I was like, well, yeah, I'll have the camping mat, I'll have my awning, but it's so annoying to take it all out. This year has proven very different. And I did talk about it briefly in that camping video, but on our last trip to Norbury Provincial Park, Lindsay got me this chair right before that camping trip. It's a super comfy chair. You've probably seen them all over Instagram. You can get them at Costco. They're basically a camping rocking chair, and they are great. But on that trip, I discovered with the pain that I was having, it wasn't the most comfortable camp chair. Let's see now. I do currently have my TENS machine going. It's bearable. It's a lot better than I was feeling on that camping trip, let me tell you. Okay, tone it down just a little bit. Yeah, this is comfy AF. And actually, speaking of Lindsay, her and Amber should be joining me later this evening. Amber after she's done work, and Lindsay when she's done all of her running around. And we're all kind of getting ready to head off on our Labor Day camping trip. Lindsay's headed off a lot earlier. They're actually leaving tomorrow. I still have basically a week or so left here in the city, and then Amber and I will be taking off for BC. But Lindsay asked if she could borrow the portable fire pit, because if you know, you know, BC's not allowing any sort of fires at all this year. Maybe back in May you were allowed to, but ever since then, no bueno. So since she's leaving early, she asked if she could borrow it. I ripped over to the storage unit. There it be. This way it will hold the mat down during the wind, and I won't forget to give it to her when she comes, although I'm sure she wouldn't forget even if I did. All right, so we're all set up here. Penny's in her cardio. Hello, darling. Hello, hello. Good girl. And I'm getting hungry because, believe it or not, through the magic of editing, it's actually quite a bit later. And now is lunchtime. All right, so what are we gonna need? I'm going to need my jet oil pot. That's ooh, do I have? I think I do. I sure do. Jordan would be proud. Cooking utensils. What else do I need? What was the measurements on this thing again? A little work. Woof. Spice up your life. What else we need? This, and we should be good. All right. Let's freaking get to it. Well, almost. I need one more thing. Technically two. There we go. Close it up. Okay, so everywhere I look these days, I see people talking about the carnivore diet, right? Which, if you're not familiar with that, it's exactly what it sounds like. You just eat nothing but meat. Anyway, I know myself better than that. I like bread far too much to exclusively do that. Plus, I've got these flat teeth that were made for vegetables. Even though, you know. But I digress. I saw this interview with Jordan Peterson's daughter where she was talking about it, and she was saying, for health reasons, all she eats, like 3 times a day, is steak. And that is it. And if she deviates from that, it causes all sorts of health problems because she's got pre-existing issues. The point being, as this interview was going on, she was talking about it more and more, and she kept saying steak, 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 steak. So of course me, in my muggle brain, now I couldn't get it out of that head. And so I'm gonna make myself a steak. There's some giggly ass girls pretty close to Lucky on the other side getting all high and shit. And apparently whatever they're talking about is extremely funny. So that is the plan. We're gonna make some steak, and I picked up a absolutely disgusting looking pack of instant, well, not instant, I do have to cook it a little bit, peppercorn sauce, because that's really the only way I like my steak. I've never really been a big steak guy. When I go to the keg, I get the New York peppercorn, and it's so very tasty, but my wallet hates me every single time I do that. So I thought, hey, why not give it a shot? I have never cooked a steak in a pan. I've only ever used a barbecue on the very rare occasion when I did cook steak. I also normally have a salad, at the very least a Caesar salad, but this is just lunch, so we're just gonna go with the steak. I've got a Stirl-Sill steak strip loin thin, because I don't know about you, but when it comes to my meat, I like a thinner cut. Thank you very much. So we're gonna whip that up in the cast iron, and we're gonna get the sauce cooking in the jet boil pot, and hopefully this will be very tasty, because I'm very hungry, and if it's not, well, that would be a tragedy. All right, so we got our Genesis base camp stove here. Spin on the fuel connection. Very nice. Bring that up. Do this. Yep. And get our fuel attached as well. There we go. Spin it on. All right. And we'll hang this. Now the simmer one is the one that's closest to the gas tank, so that will be for the sauce. Simple enough. Packet says, combine sauce mix with 2/3 cup water, 2/3 cup milk in a medium saucepan. Yeah, sure, that's medium. And bring to boil over medium heat. Everything's so medium. Stirring frequently, reduce heat and simmer 3 minutes. Alrighty, Rooney. I've got 1/3 cup here, so 2 of these each, right? That's measurements. 1, 2, and I need water. Is there enough water in this bottle? I don't know. Let's find out. Smells peppercorny. There we go. Unfortunately, I don't have a whisk. That doesn't mean I need any whisks. So I'm just gonna do the best I can with my wooden spatula here because it won't scratch this pot. Get that all mixed up and get it going. Let's get some fire on this art project here. Ooh. Yeah, right. Oh, so saucy. Oh, that heat's coming off here real good. It's fogging up the lens. Afternoon peppercorns. All right, we should be getting this pan probably nice and hot as well. I do have the cast iron, which I think is probably better than the jet boil pan. I'll have to get this steak all patted dry. Pat my meat. Maybe I should use a baby wipe, a la Foresty Forest. No! Don't forget to pat the other side. Maybe I need more paper towel. Wrap that steak up in paper towel. What could possibly go wrong? All right. Think that's enough of me beating my meat? There's just too many of them. I have to season this bad boy. First things first, let's get this pan cooking. Keep that peppercorn moving. That needs to thicken the yolk up. All right, and I'm going to be using just salt and pepper, and as I said, Jordan will be proud of me, some Montreal steak spice. How you doing, buddy? Very generous coating of salt. The one article I read, which clearly makes me an expert on this, says you want to have enough seasoning on here to create a crust. All right then. So the problem is I'm going to flip this bad boy over, and all the seasoning is going to fall off. Because I could do it after it's in the pan. That's probably a good idea. All right, the peppercorns almost escaped the pot. All right, it might be sacrilegious to some, but all I've got on hand is truffle oil, so that's the oil we're going to use. Nice generous amount of it in there. Wow, that's looking hot. I better put the camera down and focus on what I'm doing. Oh my God, that oil smells divine. It might be a little too hot. Peppercorn is escaping. Everything is falling apart at the seams. All right, let's get this steak in there. Start a 3-ish minute timer. Ooh, all right, salt. Oh, that's way too much salt. Throw it away. Throw it away. That was the big part of the bottle. There we go. Spread that salt around. Salt the meat. This smells delicious. Okay. Montreal steak spice. 3 minutes. Probably don't even need to be that long because it is a thin cut steak, but oh well. Right down here we've got, probably gonna want dressing tongs. Let's go with these bad boys. Again, in my infinite wisdom regarding this topic, I am to resist the urge to peek at the steak. Just let it cook. I'm resisting. Legend of Zelda. Perfect. Ooh, yeah, it just slides right off. Ooh, look at that crust. All right. Another 3 minutes on the clock. I'm definitely one of those invalids that likes his steak cooked a little bit closer to well done. Usually ordered in as medium well in a restaurant. This is definitely looking nice and cooked to me. I'm kind of hoping this is a big success because I want to like it. I've just never been the biggest fan. I can tell you what I'm going to do first is I'm going to have a bite of this steak before I put any of this peppercorn on it. Just You know, as a controlled part of the experiment, obviously. Another thing this recipe said was that at the end here, we're supposed to put a nice dollop of butter in the pan as well. And thyme, if that's how you say that. Is it thyme or thyme? I think it's thyme, but I don't have any time. That's okay. I bet you lady thyme does. How you doing, buddy? Let's get some butter in this pan pretty quick. Let's do it now. Swirl it around. Yeah. I believe the wording was, it's optional, but it's delicious. Pretty good. That's definitely a hunk of meat floating around in its own juices. Yum. We got this. It's just basically gravy at this point. Nummy num num num. I'm excited to put it in my belly. Let's see how this transfer goes. The crust on the bottom definitely didn't stay as well. But we can now kind of do this too. Ooh, buttery, buttery goodness. Now, when it comes to this whole letting the meat rest thing, really, am I supposed to do that? I mean, I've got tin foil. I guess I could. All right, steak, behave yourself and rest. Something about juices reconfiguring themselves. I don't know. Sad bloody day. I don't have a steak knife. I guess the Benchmade will have to do. Maybe I should give that a little bit of a clean. All right. Let's try this bad boy. Ooh. All right. Put that there. It's definitely well done in the middle. No trace of pink, just how we like it. I'm also not a big fan of the fat, but apparently that's where all the flavor is. Am I a steak oh no, that's got a lot of gristle on it. I'm not eating that. Am I a steak 3 times a day kind of guy? I mean, the seasoning definitely does good justice, but for breakfast, I mean, maybe with a nice side of eggs. That's tasty AF. And not nearly as salty as I thought it would be with that little whoopsie I had. Delicious. All right. Yeah, I definitely didn't need the peppercorn, but I'm going to use it because I have it. All right, I would say sufficiently smothered on that side. For a sauce made out of a cargo van down at a provincial park in the afternoon, that ain't half bad. Had a little bit of a afternoon nap. Now I decided to go for a walk to sort of keep everything moving and stay on top of that. Turned into a really nice day. It's still a little breezy, but I don't know. Every time I have afternoons like this, or I'm just spending exclusive time with my tiny home on wheels, my mind starts to wander. I mean, not to anything like too crazy, but just like the idea of living in a vehicle and not having like a stereotypical sticks and bricks location in this city to go back to at the end of whatever day, right? I mean, that's never really been a problem for me, but I still have these moments where I just have like this appreciation for what that life was like and what my life is like now after the decision that I made to change it and approach life completely differently. I don't know. It's just like, it's the little things that just end up meaning so much to me. And they really kind of make me take a step back and think about everything. And it's just like this provincial park that I talk about a lot here on my vlog, Fish Creek Park. Because I don't have that traditional sticks and bricks to go back to, and I'm always looking at new places to be or go and not be in anybody's way and not be a burden because I'm not doing things by traditional societal standards because I live in my vehicle. I've spent more time in this park in the last almost 2 years than I did in the first 36 years of my entire life living in this city. Minus the 4 years I was in Edmonton. And it's kind of become like this, I don't want to say second home because Lucky is my home, but it's just like this new part of my life, and I'm being outside more and going on these little adventures. And when I say adventures, I mean like I'm just going for a walk in Fish Creek Park. This becomes a staple of what I do in my van life. And I don't know. Yeah, I could have made the decision to focus stuff up in my sticks and bricks life and just come out here more. People do it all the time. You don't have to live in a van just to go out and enjoy the parks that are around you. But I definitely needed that kick in the pants. I don't know, I like that I get all sort of caught up in my head when I start thinking about things like that on days like today. I don't know, it's just one of those things that came along with my van life that I'm super appreciative and thankful for. That I'm just able to do this as an alternative to having to go back to a place where I gotta upkeep and pay rent and all the other thing. And I don't know, it's pretty cool. If I'm being honest, I'm also even more thankful today than usual because I'm actually able to get out and walk and enjoy it. Look at this, I can step over this tree. No problem. A week and a half ago, I would have been screaming bloody murder. Progress. Penny, come on. Come on. so she doesn't blow away. Well, it's almost that time. I guess I'm gonna have guests soon. I better put on something a little bit more appropriate. Yeah, much better. Evening wear. Oh, good. That's fun. Yeah, so that just happened when I was leaving Fish Creek Park. So I guess I need a new taillight bulb. I confirm that it's my tail light on the left side. Turn signal bulb. Sounds like a future Matthew problem. How are you? Good girl. You filling the screen. You filling the screen, girl. right, you lovely people, that's pretty much it for today. Shush! That is it for this one. It was a nice sort of laid-back day, and I certainly do appreciate days like that. The waiting game continues, although I did get word that the package from Parts Avatar, the fuel pump, has shipped. So yay! Until the next one, everybody, just go out there, be happy, be creative, be yourselves. Most importantly, be positive, and remember, only dead fish go with the flow.